Robert Englund's Phantom of the Opera came out in 1989, and I say Robert Englund's Phantom of the Opera because he's the main person you're gonna, the most memorable person you're gonna see in this film. He didn't produce it or anything, but he stars as the Phantom, and in my opinion, what a better person to cast to play the Phantom, who just finished off Freddy Krueger, you know, with the, you got Freddy with the burnt face, and then you cast the same person to play somebody with a totally mangled face. I think it's pretty perfect and a really good idea for somebody to portray the Phantom. I think that it's a perfect idea to want to get him to you know, because all the mannerisms and all that. This is not a musical, although of course there's music in it, but it's not a musical in the sense of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera. It's not, you know, completely singing. There's no singing, actually. There is a main song. Another thing about this film is that you're not going to get any Andrew Lloyd Webber music into it, so if you're a fan of the musical, and if that's the Phantom of the Opera you know and love, this is like horror central. So it's definitely a different style. Know what you're getting into, basically. It kind of touches a little bit on the book. Now, I'm more than 3/4 through the book. I haven't finished it yet, but it definitely plays a lot of tribute to the book, I would say. The book is very classic, and it treats the Phantom very, very ghostly. Like, there's no humanness to the Phantom in the Phantom of the Opera book, which makes sense because it's a phantom. Whereas in Andrew Lloyd Webber's play, you know, he's a lot more humanized, and in this one he's a lot more humanized as well. But anyways, like I said, a lot of differences in this one. It starts off in New York, and you get, of course, Christine Dye, who has a friend named Meg, and Meg works at this antique bookstore. And Christine goes over to the bookstore, and apparently there's a script that Meg found that, like a sheet music script that she thought would be perfect for Christine to sing for her audition that she's applying for and auditioning for in the city. And she checks it out. She thinks it's beautiful. It's called Don Juan Triumphant by Eric Dessler. Eric Dessler, of course, is the Phantom. And she checks out this score, which is the main theme you're going to get throughout the film, and loves it. So she uses it for her audition, and she's auditioning, and automatically the guy listening to her, the guy she's auditioning to, is absolutely loving it. And then there's a stage accident where a guy has an accident with a sandbag and drops it and knocks her out. And basically there's this like dreamish hallucination scene where this Phantom in a carriage comes through, and he says like, "You're mine again," or something like that. And Christine ends up in London right in the middle of the production going on of the Phantom of the Opera as the lead role. So you could say this film really is a dream sequence for the vast majority of it. But it has some really cool scenes throughout. From there, it starts to play out just like the play, and a lot like the book. There's, you know, there's a lot of gruesome killings in this one. You've got Bill Nye in here playing the character of Martin, and it's awesome seeing Bill Nye because he's such a great actor. He's really young in this role, obviously, and he plays Martin, who is one of the opera house owners other Richard. Now, in the book there was a Richard, but there was no Martin, so the other guy in the book was named something else. But Richard and Martin are the two owners of the opera house. And another thing about this film, there is no Raoul, which Raoul was like the main love interest in both the book and the play. There's no Raoul in this one. Instead, Christine's love interest ends up being Richard, and Richard's the one who falls for Christine, and the one that the Phantom gets all jealous for, or jealous over, I mean. And he kind of fills in the shoes for Raoul, even though he's also one of the, you know, opera house owners kind of thing. There's a really great kill with involving the guy that was dropping the sandbag, who ended up blaming it on the Phantom. So the Phantom goes on and kind of like throws him down while like cutting his face, and then the blood like squirts all over his face. It's there's a lot of gruesome in here, like I said, gruesome moments. There's a heart rip. There's a decapitation during a scandal in an alley. So it's horror central for sure. There's a shower room scene, or a shower room scene where there's this critic that heard Christine sing, and he's totally ripping her apart, saying he hated her performance, and it was wrong for her to replace Carlotta. And then the Phantom ends up crushing his face. Carlotta, there's a scene where she's in the bathtub, and then she ends up noticing an entirely mangled body in her closet, which is really mangled. It's pretty much skinned alive. And it's skinned alive, but it was the guy that dropped the sandbag. He's skinned alive, but he's still alive, like he's still talking. He's like, just lifts his head up and he's like, help me. So it's a really brutal film. The main theme I really liked. I thought it was really cool. There's phenomenal organ music, and I'm a huge fan of organ, period. So, like the all the organ music that's played in this film fits so perfectly. So it doesn't have the obvious like Andrew Lloyd Webber's like do 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 do, but it has other organ music in it going along that really makes it cool. And then the ending obviously ends up in the Phantom's lair, and there's a beautiful battle going on down there. Christine ends up lighting the whole thing on fire by pushing all the candles over, and then there's this crazy, crazy finale where it's the most slow motion candle push I've ever seen, and she's like running with so much passion, but everything is going so slow that she pushes it, she's like, ah, right into the mirror, and then she ends up breaking the mirror, and that's what ends up destroying the Phantom, and also transporting her back to New York, where she wakes up on the stage floor where she was auditioning, and everybody's on top of her, and then this guy comes along who ends up being Robert Englund, looking, like he did back in, except in human form, and he claims to be, one of the biggest fans, and somebody who had say in whether she's going to get the role or not, and he says the role is hers, unless she changed her mind. And then he invites her over for a drink over at his place, and she's kind of, I don't know if this plays off as like Christine was reincarnated, and obviously the Phantom is a reincarnation of himself as well, because he's also a spirit, a phantom. He's the Phantom of the Opera. And she goes to his place, and everything, I'm also guessing that the London scenario was back in time. That's why I'm saying I'm wondering if Christine was a reincarnation, because the Phantom has this studio, and Christine goes to check out the studio, and he's basically a music producer kind of thing, and he's got all these files on floppy disks, so you can tell this is totally 1989. He has all his tracks on floppy disks, and she puts one in, and basically it's Don Juan Triumphant again, except more electronic, and then the Phantom comes back down, and she realizes it's him again, and she rips off his face, and before his face was like really mangled and really cut, but now he's like extremely zombified. It's almost like he's burnt, like total like rotting kind of thing. I guess that's the best way I can think, like zombified kind of thing. But she ends up like stealing all his music on like sheet music and running outside and putting it in the sewer, and that's what ends up destroying him for the second time. And then the movie basically ends where she's walking down the street and she hears this guy playing like classical music on a violin, and she gives him some money, and then she walks away, and I'm already knowing what's going to happen. I'm like, there he is again. And then of course he starts playing that song, the theme, on violin, and it just rolls to credits. So it's a really, really cool take on the Phantom story, and for people who don't like musicals, probably would get more entertainment on this, especially people who like a lot of gore, and it's a very, very gothic film. Like, I like the gothic feel to this. The only thing, funny enough, about this film and about this this take on the Phantom of the Opera is the Phantom. I don't like the look that they gave him, and I don't think, like, his performance is fine, but I don't know about the way he looks. Like, he really, and I don't say this in like to be rude or disrespectful whatsoever. But basically, he just looks like Robert Englund in drag. And like I don't mean that to be mean. I'm just saying he looks like Robert Englund dressed as a woman, because he's got this like really old lady looking wig with like a ponytail, and then he's covered in makeup because he basically stitches pieces of skin onto his face and sews it up, kind of thing, and then covers himself in makeup to cover that up, and like with lipstick and all that. So he looks like Robert Englund in drag, but it's, I also love the scenes too where he's putting the pieces of skin on, because it's really gruesome, and it looks like pieces of skin, and it looks like he's putting on like a fake nose and all that. He doesn't wear the traditional white half mask that they do in the play, but he does at times wear this kind of like black like kind of cloak slash mask kind of thing that he wraps around his face. So that look is cool. There's also a scene at the ball, which is taken from the play and the book, and the Phantom looks sick in that spot. He has this huge like red cloak, very very gothic looking, like buttoned up, and then he has this skull mask, and the skull mask looks fantastic. It kind of goes towards the way that they describe the Phantom in the book, where like he has hollow eyes, like when they see him in the book, he has hollow eyes and he's like floating kind of thing. The mask kind of represented a lot more of that gothic, like skeletal look, as if he were more of a phantom, and he looks absolutely great. And then he starts dancing with Carlotta, and then he cuts off Carlotta's head and puts it in the soup. So when everybody's serving the soup, you got the head, the head, like they take up the head and everybody starts screaming, and he carries off Christine to his lair. It's a really, really cool ball scene. I really like the way they did that. So overall, that's pretty much all I got. I don't mind how they ended it. I thought it was a pretty cool modern take to end it in the New York setting, where he's still the Phantom, but he's more of like a music, like a electronic producer. It's not like electronic music like techno, but like it's digital. Like he's composing digitally, kind of thing. It's kind of a neat way to modernize the whole take on it and everything. But yeah, so that's basically it. It's a really cool take. 1989, my birth year, so that's pretty awesome. And the girl who plays Christine, Jill Skolin, she's a very, very pretty girl. She's really gorgeous as Christine. So and she has a lot of good acting chemistry with Robert Englund. So it really they really play off each other really well. And yeah, so I liked Phantom of the Opera, the horror version. I really like the musical too, though, and I really appreciate the differences between the two. And really, just it depends on what I'm in the mood for, basically. But that's my take on it. Let me know what you think if you've seen it. And subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews, and I'll be back for some more soon. And until then, take care and cheers.